Welcome to Kids Cooking Local. I'm Lance Kosaka from 53 by the Sea. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to have this pasta dish. It's going to be spaghetti with Spam and eggplant with garlic sauce. I hope you enjoy yourself. Come on, let's go and get started. So first thing is, when you're cooking, I want you guys to think about, you don't want to get stuck where, okay, I cooked the dish and then I got to cook the pasta. So what we're going to do is start your water for your pasta right now before you start cooking everything else. So when we're cooking pasta water, it should taste like the ocean, really salty because it's really flavorful, but not so salty that it's too much. It's like a nice balance because otherwise it's not going to flavor your pasta. And how can you tell? Taste it, taste it. So when you taste too, always make sure you don't just dip inside and taste it and stick it in. I mean, if you're a family, that's fine, but for us in the restaurant, we always have a tasting spoon, and we have one spoon that we use to put on it, so we never double dip. It's just sanitary for people, yeah? So now that we have our water going, I'm going to get it up to a boil. So I'm going to try and time it so that when it starts boiling in the middle of the time that we're cooking this, then we can throw in our pasta, and by the time our sauce is going, then we'll have the noodles done, and we'll put it all together at one time, all right? So pasta is like, when you think about it, it's like rice. You can put anything on it. I mean, it's like a starch. So whatever you think would taste good, use. If it's tomato, beef, or Spam, shoyu, whatever, it can be whatever you want. So we're going to do ginger first. So if you peel ginger, you can use a peeler, but if you don't, or if you have small kids at home and you want your little brother or something to help you or sister, grab a spoon and you can just peel it right off. So the recipe says just a small knob of ginger. So I'm just going to peel this much. I'm not going to peel the whole thing because if I peel the whole thing and don't use it, this part will start to brown if I don't use it right away. So I'm just going to peel what I need. And like I said in my last time, if we work, always work clean and neat. Because when you're clean and neat, everything feels better. It's more organized, yeah? So you look, and if there's any dark pieces or not nice, you can cut it out. So when you're peeling your ginger and you're going to cut your ginger, ginger is a rhizome and it has fiber. So the fibers go along the length of the ginger. So when you peel it, you're going to look at, it's going to have these fibers, and that's the length. So it's going to be really long if you don't. So if you just cut it really thick and then you try and mince it, it's going to be very hairy and fibrous. So because the fibers are the length of this that determine the thickness, you go thin. You just go as thin as you can. Then you can lay it out, fan it out. Safer. If it's too high, it's dangerous, it's wobbly. Or if you have at home a food processor, a small mini chopper, that's easy too. But even if you do use that, don't just put like big chunks of stuff inside. Still cut it thin, otherwise it's going to be very, very ugly and messy. Like we talked about, recipes are guidelines. Put what you want inside. If you don't like ginger, don't put ginger. If let's say you don't really care for it, but other people might like it and you want to be considerate, you can cut the ginger. So when you're peeling garlic too, what you can do, since we're gonna mince it anyways, we'll smash it. So we smash it and it comes right out easily. And also too, when you're working at home, don't be afraid. Like, make sure you use a sharp knife, because the duller the knife, the more dangerous it is, because of the fact that you got to exert so much pressure and you got to really go hard. You get more chance of cutting yourself versus a sharp knife where it's really easy and you don't have to push it. Also too, it's better for your product you're using. If you have a dull knife, it's like you're clubbing your vegetables versus cutting it. So then all the flavor and your vegetables will bruise and turn color a lot faster. We check in on our water, it's boiling. So next we're going to cut our vegetables. So we got a carrot here, so we're going to peel it. Even though we're peeling it, it's so important that you wash all your vegetables before. So all our vegetables were washed beforehand. It's very important because, for food safety. And when you're cutting, like especially around vegetable, you have to be careful. It's unstable, it's dangerous. So what you can do is cut it into sizes that are easier for your hand. Yeah? And like on one side, you can make a little cut down. And this is like, makes it flat so it won't roll. So you don't have to worry about cutting your hand. So we're going to cut this into, I'll say like, kind of like thin pieces. Then we'll cut a bell pepper. So bell pepper is kind of a weird shape. So what you do is first on the stem end, we're going to cut it down. Save this part. And then on this end too, we're going to cut it. And then we're going to cut it here. And with your knife, you're going to just kind of like slowly just kind of cut out the ribs here. Also, when you're cooking at home, you don't want to waste. So even though there's pieces like this, you're not going to throw it away and say, I'm not going to use it. You pay the same price for the whole thing, right? So just utilize it. It's going to be the same. And sometimes with bell peppers, like the skin part, if you have the knife dull, it's harder, so you can turn it over and cut from the other side. Then we're going to cut our eggplant. So we'll cut off the top. Make sure we get off the stem. Then I'm going to cut the eggplant in half this way. And then I'm just going to cut it at an angle. Okay, next we're going to cut our Spam. So I'm going to make sure my board is clean. So I started with the vegetables first because you want to start with things that you don't want to contaminate. And then I'm going to cut my Spam, yeah? Open my Spam, kind of squeeze it to let the air get inside. Put the can in, make sure you smash it so that it doesn't cut anybody. Then we're going to cut it, we'll cut it this way. Just be careful, it's very slippery and sometimes a little sticky, so you don't want to force it and cut yourself. Let's cut it in half this way. And just cut little batons. So our water is boiling now, so we're going to take a break from doing this and we're going to add our pasta to the water. So we're just going to be using thin spaghetti. Okay. Also, before you do this, make sure that you have a colander ready, so as soon as the pasta is done, you can empty it in there. You don't want to, it's done and then you got to run around, look for something. It's going to overcook. So we're going to put it in there. Also make sure there's enough water so it can flow. Otherwise it's going to come like a big mess, very sticky. All right. So the reason why we cut everything is, if you look at things, is when you cut things, also too, think about how things are going to cook. You know, you don't want it to be where it's going to be so big on one thing and one thing is going to cook before the other. Especially when you have things harder like carrots and things like that. You want to try and cut it more thinner. Eggplant is soft, so I cut it a little bigger. Next, we're going to make the sauce. So the sauce is shoyu, vinegar, sugar, and it said some cornstarch. Okay. We'll mix that up, get it on the side ready. Now we're going to start cooking our dish. We're going to heat up our frying pan. And we're going to throw in our Spam first. I cut it a little big so it has a little bit of texture and chunkiness. I'm going to add a little oil. It's a little dry. Then I'm going to put my garlic and ginger. Then we're going to throw in carrots first because they cook longer. Yeah. And the reason why I didn't really brown the garlic too much is it's going to keep cooking. I don't want it to burn it. It's going to come bitter. So I'll throw that, and I'll throw in the bell pepper. And then the eggplant. So like I said, cooking, it's not just follow the recipe. If you feel, that you want to do something, you think it needs this or that, just try. No harm. Okay. So the best way to check it is just taste the piece. Okay, so right now I'm going to drain the pasta, so make sure you have your colander ready that you had. So we're going to cook it till almost all the vegetables are getting softer, and we're going to wilt it. Then we're going to add our sauce now that the vegetables almost wilted. So we have our pasta here. So when you're doing this, you don't want to carry around the house and it's going to drain. Always have something under it. Yeah, I don't put the pasta like when I was small. I used to think that when I helped my mom, we used to put that and I put it under water. But that takes out all the starch, all the flavor. So when you cook pasta, you just drain it. And then we'll put some of the vegetables on top. You can eat it like that. Or, like I said, cooking, you can do whatever you want. Like for me, when I look at it this way, it's good, but you know what? You're going to get the pasta and the noodles. So what you can do also is, I would toss the noodles into the pan with that and toss it together because I think it would have a lot more flavor. So whenever I cook pasta, I like to put the sauce and the noodles together. I think it really melds together and it's more flavorful. So that's how I'm going to change the plating. So like I said, cooking is, it's how you feel. Some people like to do it one way, some people like another way. Personally, I think this has more flavor, so I'll do it this way. So we have some noodles. But as you can see too, like if we cut the carrots too big like the eggplant, it would have been really hard and crunchy. Bell peppers are medium, so they're soft. See how the eggplant, even though it's cut larger, is really soft together? So that's why it's important to understand the vegetable and you cook it. It's not just throw it in the pan, but think about how it's going to cook. Put the ones that's going to cook the longest first, and put the ones that cook the fastest last. And that way, by the time everything cooks together, you have something that's not like, oh, the carrot's super hard or the eggplant's super mushy, but everything should taste well together. In this dish, you have a little bit saltiness from the Spam, and then you got the shoyu ginger going on. Thanks for joining us on Kids Cooking Local. I'm Lance Kosaka from 53 by the Sea. This is our pasta dish with Spam, eggplant, bell peppers. I hope you have fun cooking it at home, and be safe and take care.